Welcome to the Amplifying Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Tara Lehman, a partner, coach, and consultant at Twin Life Coaching and Business Services, of which Amplifying Leadership is a division. This podcast is a place dedicated to amplifying your leadership through our guest stories, tips, information, and more. To learn more about our leadership division, please visit us at amplifyingleadership.ca. Today, I am welcoming Natalie McCabe, a parent coach here to discuss business ownership as a single parent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tara. Happy to be here.
So I like to always start with getting to know a little bit more about you and, maybe a story or two around how you help those leaders or where you started, just to get to know you a little bit better.
All right. Well, so my leadership story kind of created itself out of a need for something. So I became a single parent and I was back working as a school teacher and I didn't have any childcare for my own children. So I created a business of an after school program in my children's school, and just out of that need, right? So
Right.
I had to become, I guess, like the leader in my own life and a leader for the staff that I had at my program and for all of the children there. It didn't come without its challenges, but it was a good fit because I was able to parent and run my business at the same time. Not all businesses are like that, but we can talk about those things in a bit too. So
yeah, it seems like it was a great fit for you because you could be right there at the same time as you're doing, your business. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a perfect match.
So tell us why, speaking about being a single parent, but also owning a business is a key topic that you like to discuss.
Well, because parenting is the most important job in the world, and it's the hardest job in the world. Running a business is also not an easy job either.
No.
But what I love about entrepreneurship is that you have that flexibility in your schedule. You can create the times that you work, and you can then also create those special times to have with your children. You can arrange your schedule to be at their events, right? Yes, it's a little extra work, you can work on the weekends or Sunday night, but once you get into that mode, it's just becomes natural as long as you're getting that time for yourself, your self-care, and spending time with your kids. That balance is tricky. We will talk about that, I'm sure. But I think it's a good match for single parents. They need some other things in place, but that flexibility is so important for the raising of our kids. Right.
And I love that you said scheduling because, you're right. I mean, sometimes I block off. I have my daughter, she has Crohn's disease. A lot of my listeners know that. And so sometimes we have to block off almost a whole day to take her to the specialist because they're out of town. So I think I agree that entrepreneurship does make that easier, but that might mean that we do work that evening or that Sunday, as you mentioned. And another lovely thing I'd love to, hear you say was the word self-care.
Yes.
Because I think as business owners, we sometimes forget not only to schedule personal time as well as business time, but that we need to take care of ourselves first.
Yes.
So maybe we can start with self-care, and maybe you can
absolutely
help us understand as business owners who are potential single parents or parents, period. How can we help ourselves in managing our business, but also managing our self-care?
Well, first of all, self-care, parents are the worst at self-care. Literally.
Yes, I agree.
mean, especially single parents. When my kids were young, I'm going to tell you, I didn't do it, because a lot of parents feel like, well, I feel guilty if I'm not spending this extra time that I have with my child. And I'm like, no, stop that. You have to be the best you can be for your child. Think about the example that you're setting and showing them that you value yourself and that you are worthy. And, you also know this, Tara, I'm sure, and your listeners do. It's not all about going to the spa and having bubble baths.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I know, right?
Right.
Self-care is also about setting boundaries, being able to say no to certain things, not making decisions out of obligation or guilt or fear that someone's going to be angry with you. Our mental health is a big piece of that self-care. And so you need that to be a great parent, but you also need that to be a great business owner. To be able to make those quick
Mm,
decisions, you need to be on your game. So you need to do all those, the physical things, drinking water, eating good food, exercising, but then there's the emotional health things, not letting yourself worry about all these things, right?
mhm,
Having that time to follow a passion that you may have, whether that's my passion is my business. I don't have a lot of hobbies, but follow that passion that you have as an individual, because remember, if you're a parent, your kids are watching, right?
yes,
They're
yes.
seeing you, and so when they see you value yourself and take time for yourself, what are they going to do?
Mhm.
Value themselves and take care of themselves and follow their passion. So it really is very, very powerful for all areas of life, right? But I think, we use the word self-care, just it's almost overused now,
Mhm.
that, oh, you should be doing, it's not another thing on your should to-do list.
No.
It's part of the, well, for me now, as I've transitioned from school teaching to a parent coach, it really is scheduled into my day, because as a coach, I really have to be my full present self and calm and clear and curious, and to be able to connect with my clients and be
Mhm.
deep listening to, and to help them through whatever solutions we're going to co-create together.
Yeah.
So it is now non-negotiable on the schedule.
I like one thing that you said too is that self-care is not something that, we can kind of put off, so to speak. It is not a task.
No,
It is mandatory. We have to take care of ourselves so we can take care of others. So if you look at it that way, what would you tell a single parent? Like, because obviously it can be different for them if there's not two parents around.
absolutely.
So how do you feel that that looks when we say, self-care isn't a task? You have to put it into your daily life. What would you say to
Yeah.
them?
So first of all, I'd say I know it is really hard.
Hmm.
From personal experience, it is difficult. So first thing, what time of day can you grab that half hour, 30
Yeah.
minutes, 40 minutes, right? If you're a night owl, I know some single moms, they love to take an hour after the kids are in bed, sometimes stay up too late. I'm a morning person, so I would take my time very early in the morning. So you have to find your time of day that works for you, but it's also about having all the other pieces in place of the
Hmm.
daily schedule of running a home and children and cooking and all those other things that are piled on top. So one of the things that I still do today, but that have really, really helped me, I scheduled everything in a day timer,
Me too.
at like everything, like
Yeah.
literally when the bills had to be paid, appointments, kids activities. And then, so that schedule was, I call it my brain book. My staff would laugh at me because I'm walking around my after school program with this brain book, and they'd be trying to tell me something. And I'd say, you can't talk to me unless I have a pen so I can keep track, right?
Yeah.
Because
I
there's
love it.
just so many things happening. So
Hmm.
that was a godsend to know that. Everybody thought I was nuts. Oh, you're writing everything down. I'm like, but listen, when I close that book and I close my eyes at the end of the night, I know everything that needs to be done is written there. So it's not running around in my mind and
Yeah,
keeping
I
me
love
up
that.
and worrying, right? So that was huge for me. The other thing I would suggest is get a meal planner that is a magnetized on your fridge.
Hmm.
Every week, I would go through the flyers, which we really have to do today with the cost of food,
Yes.
see what things were on sale, one grocery shop, have everything I needed for every single meal. There was no takeout, unfortunately, when my kids were little, because they had a lot of food intolerances. Ready for it?
Hmm.
Wheat, corn, potato, cow's milk, and sugar.
Wow. Yeah.
So, running through the drive-through was not an option. So I had to
Yeah.
have pre-cooked, like home cooked meals every night. So that meal planning, again, some people thought I was nuts. Well, what if I don't want to eat that on that day? But listen, you wake up in the morning, you take whatever you need out of the freezer. When you get home after a long day of work, you're hungry, right? So,
Yeah.
and if you really want to switch it up, do it. I always did everything in pencil. So if I didn't feel like that, I knew I had the ingredients for those meals for 7 days, and I was good to go.
Hmm.
And I set it with the kids' schedule. So if we had to be at the soccer field at 5 p.m., I would know that ahead of time and be like, okay, I need a quick and easy supper for this night. And I'd also do a lot of batch cooking. Sunday
Yes, for sure.
afternoon, the Sunday afternoon, my kids would lovingly call it the lasagna sweatshop. Have the
I love the
five
name of that.
the lasagna trays set out. They were, this one's doing the spinach, one's doing the sauce, we're doing the
Right.
cheese, right? And then I'd know for the next 5 weeks we could have lasagna once a week, easy peasy. I
Hmm.
just have to come home, throw it in the oven, and the crock pot.
Yes.
Godsend. Love nothing more than coming home to the warm, lovely stew that you just dumped in there in the morning, and it's beautiful, right?
Yeah. And nice and easy if you can be prepared for those. Because my next question was going to be around the whole balance part of work and life. So, as business owners or even leaders, we have those times maybe of the month, maybe it's month end, maybe it's an annual thing, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is, that we're so busy that we're working late nights. And we still have to try to balance work and life together. And when you're dual parents, hopefully you have some support behind you. Even single
Yes.
parents may have some of their parents support or family or friends, but if they don't, what would you tell them? What can we say to them to help them understand that you still need to balance work, and yes, you have to get your business taken care of,
Mm-hmm.
especially as an owner. You can't
Yes.
leave it. So how do you manage when
Mm-hmm.
it's those really tough times?
Well, Tara, I was a single parent with no support, so I do
Okay.
understand. so
Yeah.
it comes down to you have to ask for the help. You have to ask for that support,
Hmm.
whether it be. I mean, I'd ask one of my staff members, "Could you watch the kids for a minute?" I would have to ask, parents of other parents that were in my daughter's dance class or drama class or my son's hockey team or the soccer team to say, can you pick them up or can you drop them off? I hate to ask, but, can you
Hmm.
help me figure out these goalie pads? you know, uh,
Something, right?
like something. I mean, I know it's not a comfortable thing to do because many of us, we're proud. We don't want to ask for help, but you have to ask for help. You
And it's
truly, madly,
okay.
deeply do. It's okay. I never
Yeah.
once in 15 years had somebody say, "No, I'm not doing that for you." Right?
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
said, "No problem, Natalie." They knew I couldn't be at dance and the soccer field at the same time. There's only one of
Hmm.
me, right? And I did, but at the same
Yeah.
time, when I was able to drive their child or pick up their child, I would always return the favor during those less busy
Hmm.
times, right? But those
Hmm.
super busy times, you got to reach out. I had a supportive group of girlfriends that also had kids, so that was helpful. But like I said, I had to ask people I didn't even know, like going up to them at the soccer field, "Excuse me," right?
Do what you have to do,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
you do what you have to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But people are so supportive, right? They're so supportive. They see you hustling and they see you wanting to do all these things and support your kids and run your business. And, I think people respect that. They know it's a hustle. It's a
Hmm.
hard job to do
Yeah.
both.
And I want to come back to something you mentioned earlier, which was the whole saying no piece. So we know it's easier to say no at home than it is at work, right? And as
Mm-hmm.
parents, sometimes we have to say, "I'm sorry, I really don't have anybody to pick you up today. You're going to have to miss practice."
Yeah.
Are there times at work that you feel some people aren't saying no often enough? I mean, as a leadership coach, I see so many different places where
Mm-hmm.
people are not saying no enough. But in your practice, you looking at the business owners and the leaders who are also single parents, where can they say more no's at work when and if possible? Let's put it that way, because it's not always possible. But any ideas or
Yeah.
tips for them there?
So, I mean, so many different businesses, right? But,
Hmm.
you have to look at what is your job description? What are you required to do? As
Hmm.
as a leader, and you have to let the people around you know if you're going to go out of your boundaries. There's times you're going to be able to, and there's times you're not going to
Hmm.
be able to, right? But don't. It's not making decisions out of fear that someone's going to be angry.
Hmm.
That's a tough one,
That is a
right?
tough one, but
That
needed.
is a
You're
tough
right.
one, but
Yeah.
super needed. That anger is coming from them, right? You
Hmm.
have to set that boundary. And the other one is feeling guilty. Oh, well, I'm making a decision because I feel guilty about something. You
Hmm.
should never feel guilty for taking care of yourself.
Hmm. I agree.
Like that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so it's baby steps. A really great book I read was years ago was The Art of Extreme Self-Care by Cheryl Richardson.
I've
I'm
heard
not
of that one.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great quick little read, 12 chapters, and she really goes into that concept of how to say no and not get your own feelings hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like not
Yeah.
holding on to that and worrying and feeling guilty. Those are all just feelings. You got to
Hmm.
understand, what are your values? What's the most important to you? And if you are most important to you, then it's okay
Yeah.
to make those decisions.
And I think I would like to also add when it comes to the business owners and leaders, you have to trust the people that you're leaving there. I used to go on 2-week vacations and not have to worry about my team back wherever I worked. Right. And when I ran a Canadian distribution center, I still went on those 2-week vacations and they had a very limited list of times when you can actually call me because
Mm-hmm.
you have to trust the people are going to do their job so that you can take that vacation to be with your family or your kids, or you can go on that soccer tournament that's out of town for 3 days. So you really have to be able to trust your employees and those other people within your business so that you can go and do what you need to do for your own self, right? What are your thoughts on
Uh,
that?
I think absolutely, Tara. My after school program now runs basically without me. I have
That's
so much
awesome.
trust in my staff. I
Yeah.
go visit. It's 5 hours away from me now. I go visit and I just stand there and looking around, going, these guys are running it exactly the way I would run it.
Ah, perfect.
Like it's beautiful, but that trust, but it's come from the people that are working for you and with you. It's bringing them into those conversations. So what's going
Hmm.
to work best for you? How are we going to work through this together?
Yes.
Asking for their input and their ideas. They're also valuable, especially when they
Hmm.
care about the organization. In my case, they care about the kids, right?
Yeah.
um so, and sometimes you'll I found sometimes things will even sometimes work better.
Yeah. You never
Right.
know, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they can,
yeah.
when there's a nice welcoming environment and people feel like they can actually bring up ideas and you know what, you're going to go on vacation, we're going to make a list of things where you tell us if it's okay to contact you. Like my
Hmm.
list was, I called it the quote unquote 911 emergency, so not a true 911, but
Yeah.
someone gets hurt, I need to deal with the insurance or something like that, or whatever. Those major things that rarely happened was what
Hmm.
you can call me on because I trust you
Yep.
to do your job.
Yep.
Right. And so I think
Absolutely.
that is one of the key tips. So, do you have a couple other tips that you can provide to help out our single parents out there who are entrepreneurs or leaders or business owners when it comes to managing the business as well as, being those
Well,
single parents?
I think, just bouncing off what we just talked about that trust in your employees is
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
because that builds their self-empowerment. And that's what
Hmm.
we want. We want to be just working with a bunch of happy, self-empowered people that,
Yeah.
know how to do their job well. But I think circling back as a single parent and a business owner, it's about that scheduling so you can
Yeah.
relax your mind at the end of the day, whether that
Love
be,
that.
food, bills, all of it. Put it somewhere, whether Google Calendar, whatever you want, and close your eyes and relax so that your mind
Hmm.
isn't going at 150 miles an hour. I have to do this, I have to do that. It takes
Hmm.
practice, it takes discipline, but anybody that's running a business have some, discipline
Yeah.
in them. So, so that you can get that self care time scheduled in as well. And that
Yeah.
special time with your children, that special one on one time. I mean, some parents that, that I coach think, oh, well, I have to play with my kid every spare moment that I have. No, 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 you don't. Please. They need to be bored. They need to learn how to know how to entertain themselves
Yes.
and get in touch with their own inner world and their imagination and their passion. So, don't no guilt. Take the
Hmm.
time for yourself and take that special time that you're going to have with your child each day. Make a routine, make a ritual, do something that you guys
Hmm.
can both everyone in the family can look forward to each day. And it might be a lasagna sweatshop.
It might be, and I still love that.
Hey, it's still
Yeah,
spending time together.
it is.
You have
And
to get
productive.
creative, right? Get creative. It's spending time together, but it's also productive.
Yeah.
So that helps makes your life flow more easily.
And I was going to mention too, because we talk about trust in others and being able to schedule and scheduling for me. I did this in my corporate life years ago. I mean, I would use that online calendar that came with, I think it was Microsoft Office, for business, and I'd be filling out the calendar every single minute of the day. So I knew it because I had many hats I wore. I had to be very, very meticulous with that. And I didn't take it home so much. So now I take it home where mostly on the weekends because it's much more structured free time, I guess you would call it on the weekend. So I've got to
Mm-hmm.
clean, I've got to do laundry, I've got to, take my daughter here, I've
Mm-hmm.
got to do that. So now I have a to-do list for my Saturday morning when I wake up, just so I can feel accomplished and feel like, okay, I have control over all of these things that I need to get done,
Yeah.
just like it helps me at work. So I love that tip. And I hope people who don't usually use it try it. It's not for
Try
everybody,
it.
right? But
Listen,
try
it
it.
well,
Yeah.
even I had was coaching a client and he was disorganized and he was just he felt overwhelmed all of the time. I
Mm-hmm.
literally bought him the organizer and the meal planner, and within a couple of weeks he felt so good that he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't getting every single thing on there done or whatever, but his life, the flow of his life with meals and his balancing work and home all came to a much calmer place for
Mm-hmm.
him, right? So it
Yeah.
is very powerful. And you know it's your whole life schedule in the self-care there too,
Oh,
you know
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I schedule my lunch breaks. I'm taking lunch this day from this time to this time.
Yeah.
Block it off the online calendar because I'm also a coaching consultant, so service industry. People
Mm-hmm.
can't necessarily close a store, but maybe you can find a quiet time during your store hours if that's what you have, that you can take a few minutes just to sit back and read or, do something on your
Mm-hmm.
phone to chill while the store's open. I mean, there's different ways
Yeah.
we can certainly schedule in some self-care. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess lastly I'd say, if when we don't, when you're stressed and up, like anxious all the time, and you're in that fight or flight, well, it just begets more of that,
Yes.
right? So it becomes a spiral of things just get worse and more things happen and there's more you have to deal with, right? So when you can
Hmm.
have that calm time to yourself each day, then if stuff blows up, you're in a much better place. You don't want to be
Agreed.
spiraling down and down and down and down with all of this overwhelm, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
serve it doesn't
100%
serve
agree.
anybody, because then you're
Yeah.
going home to the children
Yes.
and it does transfer off to them, right? So it benefits
Absolutely.
your family, your business, and yourself. So it's not a
Yeah.
should, it's schedule it in.
Get it done. If
Hmm.
you had to say one thing to our business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders out there who are single parents, or perhaps they are married or together, but maybe they are struggling, what would you say?
Give me a call.
Yeah, yeah.
I do help parents and business entrepreneurs and single parents and parents that are in
Yeah.
couples, but take one step at a time, be gentle
Baby
with
steps, eh?
yourself. You
Yeah.
have to baby step, those small steps add up. I mean, first identify what are your priorities, what do you value the most.
Hmm.
Start there,
Yeah.
right? So whatever that may be, because every family is unique, every child is unique, every parent is
Yes.
unique, right? So,
Yeah.
but really look at what do you value most and start there.
Love
Is it
it.
you? Is it your self care? All of these different things, because it's going to be different for everybody. But when
Hmm.
you're spending time on your own values, that's going to make you happy. That's going to make you feel good. That's going to make you feel accomplished towards whatever you're working toward. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, we're never finished here.
Nope.
So
Life goes.
we can't get it wrong,
Yeah.
right? Like, as long as we're
Exactly.
still making steps forward, then it's all good. It's all good. Be
Life's a
gentle with
journey.
yourself. Yep. Be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If our audience wanted to reach out to you or just learn more about you, is there a way they can find you online?
Absolutely. I have a website. It's nataliemccabe.com. So that's the
Excellent.
best place. I've just been putting everything in there. That people can book a call, discovery call, to just chat about what's happening. I provide workshops for parents and educators so they can check those out as well. So yeah, that's the best place. And I have a book coming out in a couple of months
Oh,
for
congratulations.
parents called
Yes.
Sink or Swim Parenting. So it's kind of a combo, my funny stories of as a single parent, but also, tips and tricks of the trade that I've learned over my 30 years as an educator, right?
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on your book launch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie, for sharing your experiences and your tips and the great conversation today. It's a needed conversation for a lot of business owners and leaders, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
A big thank you to our audience as well. We both hope you are able to gain some valuable information or tips today. If you are a leader or business owner who knows that leadership coaching, consulting, and community are the way to grow on your journey, please visit us at amplifyingleadership.ca, a twin life coaching and business services division. Until next time, remember, leadership matters.